In which of these do you believe? If you're not sure right now, please take a moment. But I need your signature before you leave. When I sleep, I'm usually dreaming, but more and more, there's only one. Where every hired gun I've ever fired is making love to you while I look on. And all fallen leaves should curse their branches for not letting them decide where they should fall, and not letting them refuse to fall at all. Digging up the root of my confusion. If no one planted it, then how does it grow? And why are some hell-bent upon there being an answer, while some are quite content to answer, I don't know. And all the fallen leaves should curse their branches before not letting them decide where they should fall, and not letting them refuse to fall at all. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you very much.
You are a man who has asked a lot of questions. A part of your whole live experience is that you open up for questions in between songs. Is there ever a question that you have refused to answer?
Yeah, all the time. But I don't usually flat out refuse. I just kind of divert, you know.
So what was that question?
It's usually just questions. Sometimes it has to do with the flow. Like if a question just isn't at the right time and it's going to drag down the flow. The way that some people phrase it, they're looking for a conversation that we can't have in that setting, and so I just will kind of, I don't know exactly what I do, but I don't answer it, and I don't. I try to be sensitive to the fact that in some cases, often it takes a lot of courage. The show is a place where people are trying to look cool and feel cool, and so it takes a lot of courage to raise your hand and to interact in that way. And some people are brazen, though, and they need to be made to feel funny. But I don't know. I don't have the best sense of who that is at the time. So I've never been very successful at being like, afterwards I'm always like, that son of a bitch. Like they they were trying to do that and but I never know at the time. So I'm always just like, oh, you seem really great. And then half the Q&A is for me to be lobbed softballs so that I can hit some dingers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So let's get into the questions. What happens when we die?
I honestly don't know. For most of my life, I pictured heaven or hell. I stopped picturing hell, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I mostly don't picture anything now, although heaven is still in there sort of as like a reflex or something. But I don't think that that's what happens. It definitely changes death when you picture a different sort of after-death scenario, but it doesn't. The thing that was always the scariest was the notion of hell. Death is pretty tame compared to eternal torture. Death is just death. It's not that big of a deal compared to that. And so, in a sense, I had just like a much worst case scenario. So now death just seems like something to come to terms with. I would be bummed to die now, I think. I'd like to see my kids grow up if I could. My wife would not be in the best scenario if I were to die now.
I mean, you're taking this way too far. You don't have to start talking about that. I don't want this to be
no,
the
so
most
those
depressing evening of these people's lives.
No.
I know I went in that direction, but
so that's kind of the thing. Like we avoid death, death in this country, the thinking about it or talking about it, and I just don't think that it ought to be that way. I think that we'd have a much better time in general if we weren't so upset about it, because it's gonna fucking happen for sure.
Right. It is.
For sure.
What's the happiest song that you've ever written?
I don't really, I don't specialize in that so much.